Hi, in last episode we touched on observers and saw how we can run some code in response on model changing. In this episode we'll look into it in more details and have a look at computed properties. So now for our model objects we use a standard JavaScript object. But Ember gives us much more power with its own Ember object class, and we can create Ember object like this, for example, friend ember.object.create. Also, we can provide hash with key value pairs for this object to have as its attribute, so something like this name ram. So to define our collection in these terms as Ember object, all we need to do is just to define it as Ember object create like this. So now if we go back to browser or load the page, it works exactly the same as it worked before. So what advantages we acquire by using Ember object instead of regular ones? Well, first of all, now we can extend them by introducing additional common behavior for all instances. So that's very close to a class notation in object-oriented languages. So for example, we can define an object or a class, if you may, which we call friend, and it's going to be the Ember object dot extend. And now we can extend this object with additional functionality. So let's create method introduce. And that's going to be a function, and it simply will console.log hi, my name is plus this get first name. So now all our friends have this method. So let's have a look right here. Let's get the first friends from our collection and then run introduce method on it. So, and of course, we need to change this Ember object to our app friend. So let's do this, app.friend create. So now if we go to browser and load the page, in a console you can see, hi, my name is John, which is the name of the first friend that we have in our list. So very similar to object-oriented languages like Ruby, where you first define class and then instantiate objects of this class. But that's not all. We also get quite neat features and abilities with Ember object. So let's start from the property. Let's say that our friends will have birthdays in a date format. So right here, before the about, let's add birthday. And that's going to be a new date, and I will make it actually my birthday, like this. Now we can define age. Let's remove this line from here, and let's remove this introduce. That was just for example's sake. And here we can define age method, which will calculate the actual age. So it will be very simple. There's not a point of the course to make this method right. But basically, we will take the birth, which is this get birthday, and we will have the today date, which is new date. And after that, we will calculate our age, which is today year minus birth year. And of course, if current month or day is less than my birthday, then I need to decrement the age. So I will do it like this. I will declare another variable month, which is today get month minus birth get month. And after that, if month less than 0 or if month equals 0, so now today is the same month as my birthday month, and today get date, so I take the current day minus birthday. So if it's all true, then we decrement age, and then I will return it. So very simple, right? So let's go to browser, reload the page, and right here in the console, I will get my friend, app friends, and the first one, the John. So now, if I call age method, it will return 29. Excellent. If I set my birthday, or John's birthday, to another date, so new date, and let's say 2000. Now if I run fage, it's 13, so it works. So what happens actually? So this age method is actually a method. So every time we call it, it actually runs and calculates and returns value, which makes a perfect sense. But age is really more similar to a property, right? Wouldn't it be cool to reference it like any other property, for example, like fget age? We can't do it right now because we do not have a property. But we can do this pretty easily. We can go back here, and all we need to do to define property is to define property, like such. So now if we go back to browser, reload the page, and let's repeat all of this. So we get our friend, and now we get age as a property, it's 29. Now let's change the date to 2000, and let's get property again, and it's still 29. Why is that? Well, unlike methods, properties are calculated only once on object instantiation. So when we create this object with my birthday date, it calculated age and cached it. So now every time I get it, this method code does not run. It just returns a pre-computed value to me. And that's why it is called computed property, because it computes once and caches a result in the property named age. So we need a way to recalculate age every time when birthday attribute changes. And it's very easy. We just use observer for that. So here in the property, like we did with observes in the previous episode, we specify what attributes it observes. So in our case, that's the birthday. So now if we go back to browser, reload the page and try it again, I get my friend, I get age 29, I set it to 2000, I get age, and now it's 13. Of course, if we bind this value to the template, it will also be changing like this. So let's have a look. Let's go to index.html, and in our friends about, let's create another here that's going to be age. So go to browser, reload the page, now we have 29. Let's go to the John, and let's take the John and set his birthday to 2000, and as you can see we have 13 years old right here. So this is how computed property works. We define method, and we define that this method is a property and that it observes another property in our model, in our object. Whenever this property changes, this code runs again and the property is recalculated or recomputed. Okay, it's time for another very contrived example. Let's say we want to display number of best friends. So first, let's introduce best attributes to our objects. So right here before birthday, I will add another one, best. And by default, everyone is the best friend. But Henry is not so lucky. He will not be the best friend of ours. So now we need a best number property, right? So let's go to index page, and here in friends, in h3, let's define best friends number, and we'll do best number like this. So now we need this computed property, best number. Okay, that's what we want to have. And we know the template get properties from the controller. So we need to add this new computed property to the friends controller. So computed properties are available to all Ember objects. So that includes Ember data objects, controllers, etc. So any Ember object can have computed property. So let's go to app.js, and here let's define new controller, and we call it friends controller. This controller is an array controller because we're dealing with a collection. And here we'll define best number as a function and as a property. So now we need to calculate the length of the best friends. So I return this content. So I filter by best attribute, and it should be true. And then I get the length of it. Very simple, right? So now if we go to browser, reload the page, and now you can see that I have two best friends because John and Mary are best friends and Henry is not. But now if we get Henry, so let's get Henry, this one, and then I set the best to true, nothing happens. This value is not updated. So we need to observe something, but what? Model for this controller is an array of objects. We could try to observe the collection itself. Let's try it out. So I will do this. So I may think that this will observe any changes to the collection and this will solve my problem. So let's make sure that it's not true actually. So I will get Henry and I set best to true and nothing happens. So why it doesn't work? Because changing of a collection is when you add or delete elements of this collection, not when you change attributes of its objects. So we need to observe on each object of the collection. And we can do it with the help of @each. So this will iterate through each object in this collection, and then we need to specify the attribute of the object that we want to observe. In our case, this is the best. So this simply tells that when best attribute is changed in any object in this collection, we need to recalculate this best number property. So if we go to browser, reload the page now, and make Henry our best friend, you can see that now we have 3 best friends. It works. So this is how we can observe changes in any object of the collection. Okay, it's time for an assignment. So add the following feature, favorite in books. So if I go to books, I have here the favorites, and now I have 0 favorites. Now when I go to Midsummer Night's Dream and I have this button add to favorites, and when I click on it, it becomes favorite, and you can see here in favorites I've got 1, and the button itself transforms to remove from favorites. So I can To Kill a Mockingbird, also favorite, and my birthday, also favorite, of course. And when I want to exclude something from favorites, just click on this button and you can see that it changes back to green button and the number of favorites is decremented. So for this, you'll need to recreate the same stuff we did in this episode with computed property and use actions and controllers to make this button work. Okay, in this episode we learned about computed properties and general Ember object model. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next episode.